Hey everybody, welcome. We're doing Bobbie Daniels' first and most important C5 critique tonight. And I guarantee you, she's all nervous and flustered and doesn't know what to say or do, and she's shaking in her boots, right?
That's correct.
So, what have you thought of all of this so far?
I've enjoyed all of this so far. What I've tried to take into all of this is, like you said the other night, shooting with a purpose, an intent, and I haven't really had that before. But now going out, I think that is something that I'm going to try to pay more attention to because of all of this. And of course, knowing the basics, not relying on Jimmy for settings or for his opinion of what I'm looking at, and I can go and do, the things that the way I see things, and I can go and try to capture that now, the way that I see it, not the way that he sees things.
Oh, good. I am so glad to hear that. Jimmy, dang it, we don't need that dang Jimmy.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, I mean, you've been doing real well. I mean, you've almost got that camera totally mastered. You can shoot in automatic, aperture, shutter speed, and manual.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I need to really break you from is doing manual focusing on the fly.
I stopped doing that actually after we had talked about, we did the hangout with just some images, and I hadn't done the one from the boat, and I had put up in the hangout that the boat was moving, and I was trying to do that. I was talking to Jimmy about it, and we realized my camera setting was just, I thought I had to manual focus everything too, with the focus peaking on the camera. And we talked about it a little bit, and he said, oh, well, let's just change this setting to, DMF, and then you're going to be fine. And it's amazingly worked like a champ. And so I quit fighting the focus now. I let the camera do what it's supposed to do.
Good. And be careful using that DMF mode too, only because as soon as you've achieved focus, then it turns on the focus peaking, and that can confuse the issue by having those marching ants all over your camera screen.
Mm-hmm. And I did learn how to turn I've pretty much know how to navigate all the menus now, so that I went in and turned focus peaking off. I've got the grid line set up so I can shoot with the thirds.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's been a cool thing to do that.
All right, good. Okay, this is all really good. You're just advancing faster than we could keep up with you.
Not as fast as James, though.
Well, James has the advantage of having done this for longer. But we'll look at you and we'll say, well, you have the advantage of being smarter.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
And James he's admitted to the same thing to me about you many times.
Oh, well, he's a good doobie like that.
Okay, well, let's keep going on this. I'm going to share my screen with you here.
Okay.
There we go.
There I go.
There, you got my screen now, right?
I see it.
Yeah, but you don't see me anymore.
No, I don't see you.
All right, well, what I'm going to do is I am going to move this little menu over here out of the way. And I have everything up and going, and look at that. So this is your first image. Obviously, it's monochrome. You send it with the layers so that I can see what it is that you've done. All righty. Okay. All right, tell me about this image.
That one is from one of the canyons, the slot canyons in Page, and which one of the canyons it was, I'm not really sure. But it was like a playground going through there, and I just saw this, this formation in the sandstone, and I thought, well, how cool is that? It's swirly, and it's not so angular, it's not so sharp. And I liked how the water had, you can see where you see the different texture in there, which is actually water when it rains coming down through there.
Yeah.
And it stained that sandstone. And I just thought, that gave it some texture that truly, when you feel the rock, is very smooth. So I just like how that just kind of all came together. And then when I was looking at things in the canyon, I wasn't looking at the big picture. I was kind of looking more focused, more into the little crevices and just the different places. And so while like Jimmy would set up to shoot, I would turn around and look the other direction and just look for a different way of seeing the same rocks that he was seeing. So I happened to capture this one, and really what I was looking at in here was just the swirls, just the way that it kind of flowed. I thought it looked like water, even though it was sandstone.
Okay, it does. I agree. It does. Even these watermarks coming down, I find those quite pleasing. On first impressions, when I look at this, and I'm going to go back and look at in color. And you notice that when we look at the base image, the color image, you notice that down here in this lower right corner across the bottom, there's actual detail in there that we can see. All right. So I would like to share something with you here, okay? I am going to remove these two layers.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to bring up my favorite tool of all time. No laughing, Jimmy. All right. And what I'm looking at doing is this dark area down here. I'm just going to see if we can bring a little bit more detail out down there. See this? Before we do our monochrome conversion. Because as it was with this real dark area down here, we tended to have our eyes drawn there because it was black. All right. That's the only change that I'm suggesting to you, was just to bring in some information down in the corner so it's not distracting. And now that we've done that, we can go back into silver again and do the same exact thing that you did before. But as we do this, I have some questions that I desire to ask you. But now you notice the difference here? Because there's just a little bit more detail. It's not dark black.
Right.
So while our eyes will start here, we won't end here, okay? We won't keep coming back to this spot. All right, now, when you did this, did you play with the color filters at all?
No.
Okay, I want to show you these color filters, all right? This goes back to the days of black and white photography, where the highest contrast filter you could put on your lens was the red. And see how it changes that image?
Right.
Or orange. And the contrast is going down as we go to yellow. Green tends to be more of a filter for plants. And look at what blue does.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really moody. And we're back to the dark corner again, but we're counterbalancing it with this black hole here as well.
Okay.
It kind of balances the whole image. Okay, and like Vivisa, you have control points. So we could select a control point, and we could put a control point down here in this corner, and we could adjust a touch of brightness there, not a lot, just a little bit. And you can play with this. and lighten up these areas just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And bring out just a little detail in that. And even with this blue filter, okay, it still brings out some incredible depth. Now, you don't always have to use these, and you have to evaluate them. All right. Now, of course, with no filters, we don't need any of these control points, so we can just delete them. Do not show it again. Mouse is misbehaving. You see this?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking I needed to be pressing something.
No. This is me. I guess I'm gonna have to delete them one at a time instead of batching them and deleting them, huh? But that's okay. I mean, it just, I wanted to share with you another editing tool. We're doing the monochromatic work. And of course, this is your image. Okay, so what you choose to do here is strictly up to you. You can also play with the shadows and the highlight tools. The highlight should darken this area up here a little, and the shadow should bring it out down here. And then, of course, we've got all of the standard recipes that we had too. I actually like that for this image. I played with this earlier in the day.
Really?
Yes. Yep. I like the number 5 high contrast just as it stands. Okay.
Really, without anything. That it's so. I don't know. It's not what I would have picked.
Well, like I said, that's why I asked you what your vision was. And I'm not saying your vision is bad, because it wasn't. It was very good. You had a good eye. But what I wanted you to see is just the difference before, you know, just by lighting this area down here. And then, of course, you can do any editing on the monochrome that you desire. And as well you should. It's got to be according to your own vision and your own forethought, okay?
Okay. I think part of my problem, Mark, still is when I'm out and I'm shooting and I'm trying to keep all of this in mind, because this is all still very new, you know, in terms of shooting, is I don't think about the editing so much. And then I lack a lot of confidence in that. So picking, you know, a high contrast, you know, filter or something, I wouldn't necessarily go for that, because I'm afraid of overdoing it at the same time. And I realize this is my vision, but it's still something, you know, I just don't want it to be overdone at the same time. And so, of course, when you do it, or I see, you know, some of the other photographers and their work, I think they do it so well, but I don't feel the same about mine.
Well, that's a common problem. You're not alone.
Sure.
Just remember, when you're dealing with things like caves or rocks and things like that, you go with some of the higher grunge, some of the higher contrast filters, and it's not going to make them look too much.
Okay.
All right, but but you know, judge your image, and then whatever your impulse is for editing, follow that and see where it leads you.
Okay.
All right.
I will. I'll try to not be so boring.
Not boring. But
No,
like
it is. When I look at it, well, I mean, that was a few simple things that you did differently than I did that really made it a whole better piece to me than what I submitted. Not that I don't like the image, but it could be so much more.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can do with this, but you again, you have to stay with your own vision. My only real bit of advice was to lighten this lower corner so that it was black as it was in the original, and anchors our eyes to it every time we look at the image. And by lightening it, it made a huge change.
Okay.
All right. It still was a very good image. Your post-processing was done immaculately. I liked everything about it except for that dark corner.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
But even the dark corner, if that's what your vision was, if you were trying to draw our eyes there, then well, you were successful.
Where I was really thinking when I look at the image is not that bottom right corner. I'm up in where the actual, that little lip of that swirl is. Yeah, up there.
Right.
Not that side, the other side.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I mean, you should be thinking about that because that is the main part of the image.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're post-processing, you have to be, and I hate to use words like cognizant, but you have
That's an okay word.
have to be cognizant of the entire image because it's the entire image that you're presenting to the world. You're not just presenting this little lip here.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Very good. This was a good starting image. All right, let's talk about this one.
That one, that texture in that rock was so different than all of the other pieces around it. How you got the swirls to go that direction, that just everything about it. I just thought, what a cool thing, you know, right here in the middle of this canyon, the shade of the rock was a lighter color than everything else was so orange, and this was kind of this dull pink color, and then with the other little, you know, speckles in there, I just thought it was this really cool thing. And so I did not see Jimmy shooting it, and so I thought, well, here's my opportunity. I'm gonna grab this because it's just different, and you know, maybe nobody else would have thought to shoot this particular part in the canyon.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, and so in the center of the picture, that actually kind of scooted on around and ended, you know, just ended back there behind this rock on the right. So, you know, there's a lot of depth to it right there.
Okay. Well, I will tell you that this is a very pleasing composition. It obeys all the rules. I mean, we've got diagonals. We have C curves. All right. And we have triangles. We have 3 triangles that make up this image. Just everything about this works. The composition is just perfect. I wouldn't change a thing in the composition. I wouldn't change anything with cropping. I think the post-processing is very well done, if not a bit subdued.
Okay. What do you think about the upper left corner?
I like it. I like it. It's almost like there's a beam of light coming through here.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that. But I'm wondering if you were going for a subdued color and contrast image, did you actually give any thought to that?
When I was shooting it, no. When I was editing, kind of. Again, it was about making the color of, you know, what was it? It was a dull pink, really, kind of when we were, you know, where we were at the time of the day and everything, the way the light was hitting it. It wasn't exactly the brightest thing. And so when I was processing, I was just, again, trying to bring out the color without being overdone. You know, pink, but not like pink, not so bright. And so I do tend to, you know, just because that's my, you know, just, I'm not one to put a lot of, you know, like really bright colors and textures and things out there. So subdued just kind of happened because that's probably more how I am.
All right. I'm going to show you another couple of editing tools here on this example. For this one, we're going to go into Color Effects Pro.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a graduated neutral density filter. You see how I had that ready to just pop up all automatically?
Is that a recipe? No. Well, I know that's a thing over here on the side, but I mean, do you have it like that?
Yeah, this is called the graduated neutral density filter. It's down towards the bottom, right here.
Yeah.
All right. Now, using the upper tonality, I darkened the upper quadrant just a little and I brightened the lower a bit. So we go from this to this, and it's very subtle. But what it does is by doing this, we get a three-dimensional effect where we're drawn into the image, starting right here.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get back into here, we get lost in the subtlety of it again. Okay. But it's just a tool to give it a three-dimensionality that the picture wouldn't have normally had. We're not changing the colors, we're not changing the saturations.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is darkening the upper bit maybe a half of a stop and brightening the lower part maybe a full stop. All right, so it gives us the opportunity, and we could even darken it more, say.
Yeah.
And it'll make it even a more of a 3D effect. And at the bottom, we can lighten it till it feels right. And then there's a blend control where it shifts the dark over more of a graduation towards the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a shift that shifts that dark down or up. And just somewhere right in there looks real good. And you may like it darker up on top. Or you may like it lighter, or you might see we can go just the opposite direction too. It can be lighter on top. All right, but this is one of the filters that I'd like for you to start playing with.
Okay.
I'm going to show you another one. We're going to replace this one with tonal contrast. What tonal contrast does is it gives you the ability to adjust the contrast of the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows separately. Okay, so we don't have an awful lot of highlights in here. Where you're seeing it is right here in these real light veins of the rock. See this? And by lightening those, it actually acts as a set of stair steps that draws us into the image.
Mm-hmm.
Now look what happens with the midtones. Okay, we don't want to go too far. But yet you have to admit there's a certain allure to having these bands in this rock face be more in our face. All right. Now, of course, you have to do the editing. Now, look at the shadows. You have to do the editing according to your vision. Now, by adding shadows, do you notice how that back wall back here becomes more dimensional?
Yeah.
There's the original image.
Oh, okay.
With total contrast.
Yeah.
It really does make it more three-dimensional, but yet we maintain your color scheme that you were originally attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we're doing now is we're acting upon these lighter colored veins through the rock. All right.
Yeah.
Now we could have done the same exact thing in Capture One with the raw editing, with our masking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it would have worked just as well. In fact, it would have worked better because we were using the entire gamut of the image to do the editing in, rather than something that's been squeezed down now that we're in Photoshop. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to exit out of the, well, actually, let's just say okay real quick. And we'll do a before and after here. Now, your image as it stood was quite beautiful.
Thank you.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of flat.
Yeah.
By just doing a little bit of work in Color Effects Pro in tonal contrast, we're turning the flat image into something that has great depth that will draw you into it. Okay?
Yeah. Whole different, it's a whole different feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
These are the tools that I would like to see you start playing with, okay?
Okay.
Okay, well, this one's a stunning shot too. Tell me about this one.
This is Upper Antelope Canyon, and this is the first when you're walking in through there and you kind of round the corner, and then they have all the photographers that are there. You know, you get the people who are shooting high and the people who are shooting low, and you get your 2 minutes of fame. And so this was my shot at the first photo area within the actual canyon itself. But the difference between mine and some other folks is like I think on the blue challenge that that the Grand Stacks had, somebody had put in their same shot, except you could see the bottom, you could see the floor of the canyon. Mine, you can't do that, and I did that on purpose just so it would look a little bit. Again, it's just trying to be a little bit different from everybody else when we're all shooting the same thing.
Okay.
So this is
with you, you don't need the floor. This works perfectly well as you shot it.
oh, okay.
All right.
Awesome.
All we would get in that floor is either people or footprints.
Yep.
Okay. Though this is a very pleasing image. Okay, I like this. I think you did a good job in editing. Look at the steps that you've done. We have lighter, brighter yet, darker and darker. So you've got stair steps going from side to side to draw us into it. And the canyon itself gives us our vertical steps just based on these round projections coming further and further into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like this. My best suggestion on this particular image is go in and brighten just these lighter striations across this rock here.
Okay.
Leave the other dark. Just brighten this up. And you could do that in Color Effects Pro 4 again with the total contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Selecting the one of the three, the brights, the mids, or the lows that affects this the best.
Okay.
Okay, and if you needed to, you could even just do a quick mask selection of this side and do it that way. But you can also do this. Let me jump out of here, okay?
Sure.
Let me start up another piece of software.
Oh, Jimmy's all excited now.
Okay, so we've got the same image up again. And boy, there's a big difference between this and what you showed me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You really did a fantastic job post-processing that.
Thank you.
But here, again, we could go into the raw editor. All right, let's and had you considered playing with the white balance in this at all?
I did. I actually changed the white balance to what did I do? From custom to I want to say I did daylight with that, even though we were actually on the inside of the canyon where directly above us the light was not coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but across where I was shooting into, the light was certainly, obviously it's coming in from the top there. Okay. So I think I just changed my white balance to daylight.
Okay. I just went into the white balance picker and played around, picking different areas inside of the picture to see what it would do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what you did works just as well. But if we go into the main editor now, you'll notice that this is a little bit different. the tutorial that we did on Capture One version 10,
Mm-hmm.
where we had our raw editor.
Mm-hmm.
All of the commands are editors. So we can go in anywhere in here and we can add a layer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could say left rock face. Okay. And then we could go in here with our paintbrush. And with a small one, just paint this. Let me turn the mask on so you can see what I'm painting. Is that a little better?
Yes.
And just drag your mask across.
Wow.
Okay, and then you can do all the same things that you did before, but we can bring the exposure up on that. Okay, we can bring our saturation up. Now, I'm not going to do any color work here, but we could do color in here as well. I mean, that is a choice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We can play with color balance. There's just all kinds of things that we could do. And here, as I change the colors
Look at that.
of the selection area,
Mm-hmm.
okay? There's just, it's an amazing amount of things that we can do. And we're still working within the raw data file set. Turn the mask off. So keep this in mind too. And you told Jimmy what I said about the upgrade on this, didn't you?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I'll let you talk to him about that. But these are all things that you can do too. I mean, we could go in and create another layer, and we could take some of the harshness out of here, up here, and across this face. There's just a zillion things that we can do. Okay. Wow, this was a really good set.
Thank you.
You did an excellent job.
Well, I do have some dogs that I could have brought in, but I didn't. I didn't do that.
What do you mean you had some dogs you could bring in?
I did. I had a few.
See, this is one of the things that we use inside these early critiques is how to use some of the editing tools in a different way than what we're used to. Okay. And this is one of the joys, that there's multiple ways to move down the same road and get to the same destination. And being able to understand those various ways gives you more choices as you are post-processing your images. You did a very good job on this. This was all with the 6500?
I did.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the camera and what you're able to achieve with it?
I really enjoy shooting with it. I think it's a good fit for me.
Okay.
I enjoy it.
I do think that you're ready to move up though, and start this other stuff.
Hopefully the A7R3 drives the 7R2s down. It'd be nice for them to drop down to about 1500.
Yeah, we got a 50% reduction. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Could you imagine what you could have done in there with the A7R2, the full frame, super high dynamic range camera in those slot canyons?
Probably something similar to what Jimmy did. His shots are beautiful from there. He doesn't say that, but they're just wonderful.
You know, he does have a good eye, but he also has better equipment.
There's nothing wrong with her equipment. That 6500 is a for what it is.
Well, I like it.
I've had people in one of the camera clubs laugh at that camera, and I was like, okay, well,
Mistake, isn't it?
I was like, we can look at pictures, you know, image to image, you know, what do you want to do? You know, I was like, this camera will do anything your 5D Mark III will do. Absolutely.
That's true.
And it's a lot lighter and
well, to see, and that's the thing about it. That's what I like about the 6500. It's so light and easy to travel with. That there's no arguing that.
I shoot her camera on a regular basis. When she doesn't go out with me, all the cameras live in a case, and so her camera. If I load up my camera, her camera's there, and I shoot it with that 24 to 240 on it. You know, you're looking at almost a 400 millimeter lens.
Oh yeah,
and that lens is a great lens.
It is.
And so,
and I have to thank you for that lens.
Yes. It's a workhorse. I mean, that lens is so Mike has that lens, you've got that lens, and Terry have that lens. And I've heard no one complain about that lens. You know, they're like, well, is it going to be sharp? Yep. If you put it on a tripod and focus it, it's sharp. You know, is it as sharp as a prime? No. She had the 90 out the other morning, Mark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dewy spider webs. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we'll take a look at one of those in a few minutes. But let's go back to these real quick. You did an excellent job. It was a very good first one. Was this as you expected it would go this evening?
Yeah, kind of. Because I really like those images. Those are the ones when I brought them to the hangout that got the, you know, the more favorable responses, I guess. The ones that didn't, you know, I can only put 3 in, so I just put the 3 I liked the most in. Okay. So I didn't think it would be horrible. I mean, I know you're not here to just, you know, throw people under the bus, but.
Oh, we've done that before.
Well. So I just, this is just the 3 I liked out of the people that, you know, and the ones that the hangout liked. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are 3 very, very good images.
Thank you.
The only, you know, slight criticisms were just exceptionally slight. I mean, really no big deal. But the whole point of this is not only your images, but to look at alternatives to get to the end point as well. And we'll do that for this, and we'll do that for 10 as well.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go level you up.
Thank
I expect that by the end of next week, you'll be up to about 7.
I'll have to get the other James's motivation. I'm not sure how to channel all that energy yet, but I'll try.
But no, it was a good job, and I enjoyed the image. And we'll just go forth, and we'll see what you do next. Okay.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Let me stop the broadcast.